Good morning and welcome to Table Talk here at BG's Cafe in downtown Oxnard. Today's guest is Shawn and Linda McCarthy. We have them from BNI. If you're not in BNI, you're not doing business right. And they're here to talk to us about the importance of business networking, whether you're a home-based business, a small business, or you're a big business looking to grow inside the community. Welcome, Shawn, Linda.
Oh, thanks, Francine.
So how long have you two been doing BNI?
Oh, gosh. 14 years we've owned our BNI franchise.
Yeah, and actually been involved 17 years total now. Linda was originally a member of the organization, joined in 1997.
Yeah.
Yahoo.
Yeah.
So what inspired you two to get into the BNI?
Oh. Well, by being a client, it was very powerful for the business I was doing. So I was excited, and it was exciting to see my own connections that were created in the network, but to see the others in the group, how they connected and the doors that were opened and the opportunities that were shared. And it was just like, this is so cool, people meeting together and developing a relationship, opening up doors, ushering people in places they would normally never get.
Now, what's the advantage of BNI as opposed to other networking or open groups?
Go ahead.
Well, BNI is a formal program. BNI is a business for Shawn and I, and we oversee it and coach it. So our groups are formally trained. There's expectation and standards for all of our clients, as well as people are screened, and not everybody is chosen. So that's huge in starting out with a trust factor like that. People are invited to BNI and ushered in that opportunity because someone knows them and trusts them already and wants to introduce them to the group. But Shawn and I oversee that with all of our training and marketing materials.
I was just going to say there's a ton of education and training that goes into our program, so that's another thing that sets us apart. And also we have a code of ethics that all members swear into them when they become a member of BNI, and they are required to uphold that during their tenure. So there's a lot to the BNI program. It is an international organization, as the name implies, Business Network International. It's all over the world in 55 countries, so there's a lot involved in the program.
Now, how would one find out? Like, if I'm curious or I've heard about BNI, how would I go find out, see it in action? How does that work?
Okay, it's a good question. There's lots of opportunities to visit a BNI chapter and see how the program functions, talk to the people inside of it. So, there's contacting our office in Camarillo or going on the web. We have our website, which is www.bni-vc for Ventura County.com. bni-vc.com, and go visit a local chapter, see it in action, touch it and feel it, because it is an experience as opposed to something you talk about.
Now, if I want to join a BNI, let's say I went to a meeting, it was great, but it meets on Thursdays at 7, and I can't really do Thursdays at 7. What would I do?
Oh, I'm glad you asked that. We have lots of chapters in the county, meet at every day of the week, and we also have some lunchtime chapters, so that works out for some people. So just contacting us, we can make sure that whatever chapter you're going to be in fits into your schedule. And by the way, BNI is a weekly committed meeting, so it's something we do weekly. The chapters meet on a weekly basis, so it's the highest level of networking there is, the most powerful form. That's another thing that's really great about BNI, so you really get a chance to know the people very, very well. But we have lots of chapters and lots of different times and days they meet, so we can always hook you up.
Now, I live in Oxnard, but I do a lot of business in Camarillo and Ventura. Do I have to network there at a chapter, or can I do one here in Oxnard? And how far out do you guys go?
Well, okay, a couple things. Each chapter might meet at a certain day and place and time. However, everybody in each chapter does business all over the county. So there's no geographics involved, other than I can make that day and time and place on a fairly regular, schedule and commit to it. So there's an opening for my business category, that day and time and place works for me. But everybody does business all over the place. So there's very few businesses that have that kind of limitation. So yeah, any of them would be profitable anywhere.
And how far out? I mean, just Oxnard, Camarillo, or where else do you guys have chapters?
Well, our particular region that we are the franchise owners of as executive directors is Ventura County from line to line. So anywhere in Ventura County, we're the people to talk to. However, BNI has chapters everywhere, including everywhere in California, obviously. So if you are outside of the Ventura County area, you can still contact us, and I'll put you in I'll put you in contact with the director in the other regions that you're looking at. So BNI is everywhere.
Good question. Yeah, nice. Nah.
Now, I'm a member of BNI, and I'm very happy with my chapter because not only have I made my money back, that's the one thing people, well, I'm going to get rich. No, not necessarily, but I have better insurance. Some of the other benefits are some of the things I get being inside. I get better insurance from State Farm. I have a Aflac rep now, something I never even thought I could get. And
Well, one of the great things about being in a BNI chapter is that you find out about all the other businesses involved. And you not only find out about them, but you become a resource hub so you can help other people because you know so many people now and you can hook them up also. And there's so many things that go on in a BNI chapter. Obviously, our goal and our mission is to help members make more money and increase their bottom line. I mean, that's what the program is structured about, and that's why it works so well. But there's a lot of things that happen along the way, and there's presentation skills you learn, leadership skills, the mentoring that goes on, the friendships that are developed, becoming a resource hub, and like you're talking about, finding out about other people's businesses and helping yourself and your family and protecting, like you're talking about with the insurances and stuff, protecting them with people you know, like, and trust. So it's a very, very powerful environment.
That's a good point. That's a really good point. Yay.
now, BNI started by, who started BNI?
BNI started in 1985 by Dr. Ivan Meisner. And he was a business person. He was a business consultant that used to go into large companies and help them develop their training. He would go analyze a department. He would sit with the department heads and the employees and ask them questions, and then he'd help them develop their marketing materials and or streamlining their training systems, whatever that might be. So he's a PhD from USC. He's a smart guy, and big companies were obviously his bread and butter. He had lost one of his largest clients, and just through them downsizing. So then he's like, oh my gosh, that's a whole lot of money out the window. And for the type of clients he had, you just didn't go knock on a big company's door and say, hi, do business with me. Look, I brushed my
Hi,
teeth.
how's it going?
I brushed my teeth, no, you need someone on the inside ushering you in, or saying good things about you from the inside. So that's how BNI started, because he thought, well, I need inside connections. I've got some. Maybe some of my other business friends from Rotary, Chamber of Commerce, my social network, maybe we should meet and maybe share what connections we have. So they started a small group just to see what connections they had and share. And they grew more formal with it, a little bit more structure involved with it, a little bit more accountability involved in it. And they came up with a pretty hot ticket. And thus BNI just started as, they had a waiting list, actually a huge waiting list, to get in their group. So Dr. Ivan Meisner said, well, here, I'll teach you guys, and you can take it over here and have a group of your own, and this is what we do. And so we typed up on a typewriter some simple policies and agenda and said, here, you guys can go do this thing. So there it started. Didn't mean to start a BNI. It just kind of started, as most anything great does, by accident.
By somebody did something somewhere.
Yeah. Had an idea.
Now there's 6,700 chapters worldwide in 55 countries, so it's growing tremendously in the 29 years that we've been around, so it's been amazing.
Now, I recently went to a training, and there was someone there who went on a trip to Europe or something. I think you were telling us a story, and had visited chapters. He had actually done his trip based on visiting chapters or something like that.
Yeah, yes. The BNI being international, you can do that. And we had a young man that I know very well, one of our business associates, and he was going to England and to Holland on vacation. He actually speaks Dutch, and first thing he did was call me and said, hey, Shawn, I'm going to England and Holland. Do we have BNI chapters there? And I said, absolutely. So I got him hooked up with the director. He planned out an itinerary, went to a few meetings over there, and he actually got a couple of good contacts out of it. So he was very excited. So yeah, that's actually kind of common when people travel, is that you can visit BNI chapters in other states or countries. And it's the same agenda for every country, so it's pretty awesome.
Now,
Now-
the cool thing about that story, though, is that he wanted to be in BNI. We had just met him, but he was leaving for the trip a couple days after we had met him, and he wanted to be in BNI in Ventura County. But that's when he asked about the European chapters. Well, here I won't be able to be back for about a month and a half, but how about I visit BNI while I'm there just to get a taste of it? And then when he came back, then he became part of us and one of our clients, longtime client.
Now, here's a question. Now, let's say I have a family member in Ohio or Iowa, and I need a service for them, an attorney or a plumber, do I just call you, Shawn, or what's a way I can,
No,
as a
call
BNI
Linda.
member? As
Well,
a BNI
yeah,
member,
actually.
that I can find a fellow BNI to say, hey, I'm BNI here, I need something for so-and-so.
Well, BNI is around the world. So yeah, Francine, there are ways to hook up with BNI members all over the world. We have our own internal system for members, but we also have a public system. There's a lot of ways to get hold of BNI members in their areas by doing Google searches for BNI in their area. They can do that, or they could call our office and we'll hook them up with somebody in Ohio, that's for sure. We know the people and where to find them. And I've used a lot of out-of-the-area BNI members for family members that are out of the area. And I let them know, don't go in the yellow pages. Get on a BNI website in your area and look up professionals because they've been screened, tested in time, and odds are good you're going to do good business with them.
Now, what's the main philosophy of BNI?
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Yeah. Our philosophy, givers gain. Two simple words, givers gain. And what givers gain means is if you give business to me, I'll give business to you, and we all benefit. But what givers gain really means to me is not what's in it for me, but what's in me for others. Because I think if you have that kind of mindset and that kind of attitude, you're going to be successful not only in business, but in your personal life. So it's a great personal philosophy to have also, is the giver's gain mentality. Because anytime you give, you're always going to receive. And that's one of our main things that we coach on in BNI is that giver's gain mentality. And that's how we roll in BNI, kind of people we look for.
Well, with that, I'd like to thank Shawn and Linda for being here and giving us information. If you want more information on BNI, again, the website is www.bni-vc.com, or you can email me directly at tabletalk805@gmail.com. Check out our Facebook page at Facebook.com/tabletalk805, and we will gladly get you hooked up and networked right. Good morning and welcome to Table Talk here at BG's Cafe in downtown Oxnard. Today we will be talking to you about Children's Day. It's an event that will be happening in our downtown on March 29th, and it has to do with the Wall of Tears. Wall of Tears is something that is not spoken about a lot. It has to do with children who have died at the hands of their caregivers. And today we have
Leo Alvarez, buenos dias, good morning. I am president and co-founder of the National Association Against Child Cruelty, who are the founders of the Children's Wall of Tears. A little bit of background on the Children's Wall of Tears. It's really a traveling memorial, and it's already been to the state of Louisiana in January. It honors the lives of children who have died through abuse and neglect. And that's the sorry side about our organization. But today I'm here to talk to you about what we're naming Celebrating Children's Day. It will be the first annual such event. It'll be held at Oxnard's Plaza Park on Saturday, March the 29th, and it'll run from noon to about 4 p.m. This is a chance for us to do something positive for the children of our community and not to focus on what we really do, which is advising people, educating people about the laws that lead to the continuation of abuse of American children and sometimes to their deaths. We're going to be having a pirate ship for kids that has a slide on it. We're going to have jolly jumpers for the children. We're going to have a toy train that they can ride. We're having fingerprint booths for them. Drag, the Oxnard Police Department's race car will also be there, as well as the fire department, and they'll all be talking about and passing out information of positive nature to the children of this community. We also have a group, the Kids Dental Group, that will be having a booth there, teaching dental hygiene, passing out toothbrushes, toothpaste, and so forth and so on. So all of these events and activities and organizations are geared towards bringing happiness into a child's life and educate him as well. Now, on a positive note, our organization wants to give back to the community, and we are a nonprofit. We rely on donations from other people to keep us in existence. But in fact, like so many other nonprofits, a lot comes out of our own pockets. Recently, we have been giving to the battered women's shelter. We've also given articles of clothing, etc., to the veterans' homes in Ventura. That includes toiletries for the men and toiletries for the women. We've also donated to the the homeless shelters in Ventura and Oxnard. And we have undertaken a new project, the Shaken Baby Syndrome, where local women here in the city of Oxnard and in the Colonial section also have been knitting small, very small caps, which are going to be given to new mothers to put on their children's head, as well as educating these mothers and fathers also about the Shaken Baby Syndrome, so that they're well aware that a child can be very, very easily injured. So I do want to make that point that we do more for the community in helping out organizations, individuals that need the help, as well as trying to educate the community, and as a matter of fact, this entire country, about what happens when you abuse a child, or the potential deadliness to children if the abuse continues. So in a nutshell, that is what the NAACC, National Association Against Child Cruelty, and the Children's Wall of Tears does. You can see more about us, learn more about us at www.thechildrenswalloftears.org. It's very simple. And there you will have access also to phone numbers where you can call and speak directly to my wife, Jane, and I, who founded the organization. And if you can help out with donations, please, thank you. We welcome them. Because again, like so many other nonprofit organizations, when you're starting out, a lot of it comes out of your own pocket and donations from friends and family who have backed us up, and I thank them for that.
Now, what inspired you to start this? I mean, you didn't wake up one day and said, well, you know, hey, I'm going to go build a wall.
Well, I woke up one day and I met my wife. She is the whole nexus behind this, because about 25 years ago, she adopted 3 seriously abused children. And in adopting him, and in the process of adopting him, she found out what so many of the pitfalls are, and so much of the stonewalling that goes on when it comes to adopting children who are in the social services end of it, abused children in other words. And she had to put up literally a fight for 18 months to be able to adopt these children. And there were stumbling blocks along the way. There were all kinds of walls put up before her and her then husband. And in doing so, she found out, once adopting the children, that it doesn't end there. Because abuse doesn't affect you at the moment you're being abused. Of course it does. But the after effects, the lingering effects, the lifetime effects of child abuse are just that, lifetime. It's kind of like post-traumatic stress syndrome. But because they're children, we all think they're so resilient, they'll bounce back from it. Come on, all you got to do is love them. Not true. Not true. They require a lot of counseling. As a matter of fact, one of the first things she did when she adopted these children was put them through counseling. And one of them was 18 months old, and she says, why do I have to put this child in counseling? And the psychologist, Dr. McCarthy, told her, this child has eyes and ears. He can see, he can hear. And what he has seen and what he has heard in the way of abuse and the lack of care that he received from his parents will affect him. And it has affected him. And indeed, it did, because he was the one that was, as my wife likes to say, marinated in meth in the womb. A drug-addicted child who was born drug-addicted goes through withdrawal symptoms. That's only the physical manifestation of it, but the psychological, where the brain is damaged, is something that you will not notice for years. But once it starts exhibiting itself in physical problems, in emotional problems, and in the way that child handles situations that you and I would just float over, it really begins to manifest itself. And of course, the other children, they suffered physical, mental, and sexual abuse also, and that affected their lives. So yeah, she became very passionate. And when I met her, she was in the process of writing a book called Blinders, and I helped her in editing it, and in doing so, I found out what these children had been going through. I found out what was going to be happening to these children unless they got the help that they got. Aside from just tender, loving care, it takes out so much more than that. And that's where the passion arose. You either love a child or you don't. And unfortunately, a lot of people think that in raising their children, all they got to do is be there for them, feed them, give them a bed to lie in at night, sleep, let them go outside and play. It takes much, much more than that to raise a child. And this is where it was brought home to me after I'd already raised my own children. I stepped in and started to raise these children because they were still less than 12 years old. And so I started to raise a second family. And believe me, I became more involved in my counsel more than I did my own children, who got a different kind of loving. Well, these children also got a different kind of loving from me. And unfortunately, I became a grandfather, and then I really learned what true love is, but that's still another story. That's
Another story for
another
next
book.
show.
True.
Now, do you travel with this wall all over the country, or just certain parts right now as it's starting to grow, the momentum, or?
We're kind of like in a learning phase on this. And the very first step we took with the wall is we committed to having it at the International Convention of Bikers Against Child Abuse, another organization dear to my heart because I'm actually quote-unquote a biker that belongs to Bikers Against Child Abuse. Anyway, we were invited to their international convention in Marksville, Louisiana in January. So we had to buy a truck, we had to buy a trailer because the wall was constructed and ready to be displayed. And we took it 1,800 miles across Arizona, New Mexico, Texas, and into Louisiana, and we had it there for 4 days. The wall itself, and I wish I had a picture of it for you, essentially has 2 towers on it. And each one of the towers has a television screen on it. Well, one television screen has got scrolling pictures of the children along with appropriate music. Now, these are pictures of the children in happier times. I mean, we don't have anything graphic in there. And the other one scrolls their names and their ages, the state that they were killed in, and the circumstances behind their death. I mean, this is the other information. That does not play the music. It just scrolls. So we had these CD in there scrolling for, 96 hours straight, nonstop, because we were in a casino and they go 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So there was no reason to shut it down. And my God, the effect it had on people, it was tearful. I mean, people could not walk by without stopping, and when they saw what it was, they started crying. I mean, you know, all the shaking of the body and the sobs, and people would walk up to the wall and they would stand there, touch it, stroke it. They wanted their picture taken. It got the message across that child abuse can lead to the killing of our children. And indeed, in this country, we kill 2,500 children a year through abuse and neglect. And you don't hear about it.
Now, has the wall, or does the wall intend to make it its way to D.C. to let people know, hey, this is a big problem?
The original concept was that we would travel from state to state, capital to capital, and end up at Washington, D.C. And the whole focus is to educate the public about those laws, and we have laws on the books that actually permit the continued abuse of children. And it's kind of hard to fathom that there are such laws in place that say, yes, you can take your abused child back home with you, abuser, and raise it. Well, we know that if you take or we give a child back to an abuser, the abuser's only going to continue doing what it did before, which is abuse, because they don't know any better. They actually don't know any better. Being a parent and a good parent is not something that is inherent in the human being. Believe it or not, it's inherent in animals, but not in human beings. And why? Because human beings are the only ones that really abuse their offspring. Animals don't. Human beings do. And I'm not a psychologist, so I'm not going to delve into the whys and the wherefores of why people abuse children. But I will say this, that all of us become parents based on what we saw and what we heard. So if we were abused as children, guess what? We are likely to abuse our children. But thank God, statistically it's been proven that only about 30% of abused children become abusive parents. So there's hope. There's hope out there. And what we want to do is raise this awareness that yes, it exists. Yes, it will continue until we do something about it. And one of the things we're going to be doing is educating people to one specific law that first of all permits confidentiality, so you never hear about it. Because the first thing out of a social worker's mouth is, I'm sorry, I can't discuss it, it's confidential. Secondly, this same law says that, well, I'm sorry to say this, but if you as an addicted mother to drugs are taking drugs during your pregnancy, well, guess what? That child is going to be born addicted. But the law says, no, 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 even though if I injected you with drugs, you could have me arrested because I assaulted you. But if you inject drugs into your fetus, your child, nothing will be done. Social services will be called. You will be able to take that child home. The law says you will not call the police department, even though you have assaulted that child and you have created a drug addict who will be addicted for life to drugs. And third, that very same law says that if you as the parent harm that child in any way, and they call it assault with a deadly weapon, usually seriously injure a child, or you kill that child or a child, that once you've served your time, been found guilty, etc., come out of prison, you can petition the court for the custody of those children, and they will be given to you. With no further training, you serve your time in jail, you were punished, but you're still the same person that went in there. So this is what we're going to be focusing on, is letting the public know that this law does exist. But as a 501c3, I know I cannot tell you, change it. I cannot tell you that. All I can do is tell you about it and hope that you have it within your heart to do the proper thing.
So again, don't forget, save the date, March 29th here at our downtown Oxnard. It's going to be a lot of fun for the kids, informational, and if you are or you know someone who's suffering abuse, you can get help at this event. They will have numbers for you to call or someone for you to talk to, or you can go to the website, thechildrenswalloftears.org. You can get phone numbers and assistance there, and if you want more information on this show, you're welcome to email me at tabletalk805@gmail.com, or our Facebook page, Facebook.com/tabletalk805, or at Twitter at Table Talk 805, and we will make sure we have the dates out there and the website information where you can get more information. And I'd like to thank you for coming on and sharing. This is a very hard subject to talk about. People don't like to talk about these things, and it's always swept under. And unfortunately, our legislators don't always put forth the right thing. You know, they think they're doing the best and keeping the family together and saving it, and sometimes it's not the best situation, and we don't give enough to our social workers for them to make judgment calls, enough in training, education, and resources, so they can make the best judgment for the child, for the family, or for the abuser if they need help, counseling, or services. So again, with that, walloftears.org. I encourage you to go on the website. Small donations count, whether it's $1, $5, $100, $1,000, or $1 million. To get the word out is priceless. So thank you again for watching, and we will see you next week.